All right, we're going to solve affordable housing in this short video. This is at least one step that I think is kind of obvious, but a lot of people won't talk about it because they're really not in the business. Let's jump into it. First of all, if you don't know me, my name is Franklin Cruz. I'm a real estate developer. I own a company called True Investors Development. My claim to fame was taking one house to 41 houses on 9 acres, sold it at KB Homes for $1.25 million. Then they turned around and named the street after me. I even have a cool poster of it that shows it. If you ever want to look it up, first house was actually built with 7187 Cruise Court. All right, let's jump in. So the first thing is, I got some notes as well. What is the clearest path to actually solving affordable housing? Well, the first thing is, it's actually not that difficult. The only thing is people make it very difficult because a lot of people aren't in this business. So the first thing is this: have a universal workmanship license. What I mean by that is, if you're a GC in Florida right now, you have to go to all 50 different states and actually get your GC license. Or I think there's a couple of tests that you could take that only allows like 15 different states will verify that. But the thing is, you still have to do that, and you still have to figure out this entire method per state. That's the first thing. Second thing is, electricians have to do that, plumbers have to do that, mechanical, AC guys have to do that, roofers have to do that. If you have a driver's license, you're allowed to drive anywhere in the United States, and you have no issue. And I get it. Some people will say, well, you have to go there because that state has different building codes and everything else. I got it. That's just a different way of building a structure. It doesn't change anything. What I mean by that is, when you're driving, you actually sometimes, if you've never driven in snow and you drive from Florida to Michigan, or you go to the mountains of Spokane, Washington, which I've been at in Washington and California, it's very different driving, but they still give you one driver's license universally to drive in the United States. If you want to bring down, when it comes down to the cost of living, the first thing you've got to think about is, first of all, what is the raw cost, material, and labor? You have to look at it from a physics standpoint. So from physics standpoint, what they do is they look at it from the lowest denominator. And I'm going back to the licensing in a second. But first, you've got to look at what is the raw cost. So for me as a developer, I'm not just playing one on TV, right? Like, I actually do this. And what I do is I go down and I figure out how much is the exact screws that I'm actually going to be using to build this property. How much is the screw? How much is the material for it? What is every single window cost, every single hinge, every single doorknob? Like, I have it down to a T on the micro details that you can get, because that is the lowest denominator of understanding your cost, is understanding every single material cost. We buy the concrete, we order have to get the concrete pump as well. We have to coordinate that, schedule that, roofing material, everything, because we know we can get a developer account and bring down the cost. That's the first thing. You can buy in bulk and bring down your cost 20 to 30%. But there's other costs, meaning now we have material and now we have labor. Labor, we could actually get contracts and make sure they're stuck into that contract, not in a bad way, in a good way, but now we know how much is it going to cost labor, how much is it going to cost material. Now we could build a house. Let's say we can actually, and a lot of developers can attest to this, we can build a home for anywhere from, let's say, $150,000 to $200,000, right? A bare minimum home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage, blah, blah, blah. It all matters where you're at, but I'm saying stick build, wood frame, roof shingles that you could buy from Lowe's, like something that could still last a while, 30 plus years. But we could do it. We can do it, and bring down that cost. Here's the catch, though. The catch is the land and local municipalities. People don't understand this. So what happens is, I'm going to educate you right now. How to solve it? First, you've got to rewind and get back to the raw materials, labor. Then now you've got land, meaning you don't know how much it's going to cost to clear that land, to get it up to par, to actually get the approved site plan, meaning, do you have to move any kind of trees? Do you have to put fill dirt to raise the dirt? Do you have to cut fill? Is there any kind of water what I call the 3 items that you need, right? How am I going to drink my water and take a shower, right? How am I going to get electricity because I really like AC if I live in America, right? And then where's my poop going to go, right? Because you don't want it to go down, right? And you don't want to stay in the house. So those are the 3 main items. Where am I getting my electric? How am I drinking water, right? How am I going to do that? And where's the poop going to go? That's like, to really think about it, that's the basics, okay? Now you've got to make sure you got a stable foundation, stable land, right? That takes preparation. That could add, $10,000, $20,000 more, sometimes less. Then you got to pay for the land, right? It's not free. Now, a lot of municipalities, meaning cities and counties and states, they have a ton of land that they could give to developers, and we could even work out a deal. Hey, we'll do it at cost plus 20%, like you would pay anybody else. But obviously we got to make a living, right? So are you okay with us making a living? Great. We have to make a living, but you guys have all the land. We could work at a deal. I would do that deal because it'll be fun. Like I love America, right? I have the Captain America shield for a reason, joined the military for a reason. I love the Army when I was in. So let's bring it back. So now you've got those items, land. Now you have material, labor, land. I'll talk about the licensing in a second. But the biggest thing now that you've got to think about as well, is, well, let me write this down as well because I want to make sure I don't miss this. So the other item that you've got to think about, so you've got material and labor, then you got to think about the land. Now you have the uncontrollable, what we call soft costs. This is where the municipalities, cities and counties are really, I would say, dropping the ball big time. Because what happens is, if you ever want to build, ask for what is it going to cost for impact fees. Pick your own house. Say, hey, if I want to build on my own house, what are the impact fees? That's a wastewater connection fee, meter connection fee. Then you've got your water connection fee, which is separate from wastewater connection fee. Remember, water, waste. Then you got your meter, so you got to connect. All that they charge. And every year that stuff goes up. And then you have impacting the community, because now you're moving in. So now they say, oh, well, you got to pay for school, you got to pay for fire, you got to pay for this. There's a huge, and then every year there's like 30 something items on that checklist for impact fees. And all of them, if you ever do a comparison just in 5 years, they typically go up almost 50 to 60% almost every 5 years. Because if the mayor or the city manager is in control, which typically they are, it's one of the two, it's a mayor-run city or county, or it is a city manager, city-run county, right? Now, they can make recommendations to the county commissioners. I got that. But the only thing is, a lot of these guys don't build, so they don't know. So what happens is, because a lot of them, basically, we live in America where the cities and counties are mini-monopolies. Meaning you can't go anywhere else. Like, you could move, right? But you're still in the system of a mini-monopoly. And they know that. So what happens is they hire a consultant, and that consultant says, well, you're going to have to raise everybody's property taxes, impact fees, electric as well. And they do it, it's almost like what they call the 1,000 cuts. You may not see it in this bill, but you see a little fee. But then the thing is, that little fee adds up after 5 or 10 years. And you're like, God damn, why is my electric, it used to be $200, now it's $500. You never really even checked it until now, because now 1,000 cuts, right? Now you're just like, dang, the electric's kind of high. That's crazy. Or now I'm paying a trash service, but they're not even taking the recycling bin anymore, right? That doesn't make any sense. Because what happens is they are mini monopolies. Now, I'm not saying negative or positive or anything. I'm not even going on the political. I'm just saying the facts. So what happens is that affects the building side. So what happens is now, whenever you pull a permit, whenever the fees go up, that affects us as developers. Because now if our fees go up, now less people are buying property because of mortgage rates or whatever. All of this is like this perfect storm. And there's a hot word called affordable housing. So my thought, because I'm actually inside of this world and this is what I do for a living, my thought is this, going back to the licenses. First of all, have more people able to actually build throughout the United States. That's the first thing. So you have one universal general contractor's license that go throughout the entire 50 states. And all you have to do is, if you're going to be pulling a permit in that state, you have to take a 20-hour class to understand how to pull a permit and the inspection process and what are the typical fees that go by it. And that's it. And who is the vendors that you, like, how do you get your subcontractor declaration form filled out? Like, all this stuff is basic. It's not like the GC is actually the one doing the wood. He is the We are project managers. We're amazing at project managing. The only difference is a lot of times we not only have to project manage, we have to do cash management as well. For myself as a developer, I'm doing cash management, raising capital, finding a deal, seeing the profitability in the deal, doing the mathematics behind it, doing all the vendor checks as well, getting my staff involved, doing all the inspections that are necessary for it. Like there's a lot that goes to it. I don't wish this on anybody. If you have a vision for it, which I do, and I love architecture, I love building things. To me, it's artwork more than anything else. It's like, sorry, I got some of mine. To me, it's beautiful. Just like that sculpture right there, that's from Frank Lloyd Wright. That's a replica, but that's a concrete sculpture that Frank Lloyd Wright did. I love him. If you ever want to look him up, he's amazing. Best architect ever, in my opinion. And so, bringing it back, if you had a universal card for everybody, meaning if you passed your license in Florida, you're allowed to practice anywhere. You could do that right now with the driver's license. You really can in all 50 states. Right there, that opens up the floodgates for at least to 1,000 to 10,000 GCs to start building in other locations and utilizing their licenses, other locations, so more people we can build. The more building is going on, the less that we're going to get our material prices down. Now, municipality costs, impact fees, that's a different ballgame. That aspect of it, I don't really have a cure because I'm not the president. I think the president is the only one that could kind of come up with a better plan. I think you could only control your local municipalities. There's a lot of programs that you can fill out for to reduce your impact fee. So if you're building right now, find out in your local municipality, your local city or county, wherever you're located, what programs do they have to do a impact fee reduction. But you need an impact fee reduction for wastewater, water, utility, or the meter connection as well. And you could probably get Energy Star as well, an Energy Star rating. That means all your appliances are Energy Star, so you can get money back as a rebate. And then you can get 50% off of your impact fees as well. But you have to fill out paperwork. You got to make sure it got approved. You got to make sure they got it, and you got to make sure they're moving forward with it as well. These are little things that can potentially help you to reduce your costs so you can have a home. Then, obviously, homestead to home. Hopefully, you don't have to pay that much in property taxes. Lower it. If you really don't want to pay any property taxes, just run a church. Have a church. Basically, to me, I don't know any other way to have a nonprofit that's out of your church. And you have to prove it, right? You have to do what they call the 12-point or 14-point checklist of running a nonprofit. To me, that's the only way that you could think about doing that if you wanted to, or just add up your skill set. Level up your skill sets, make more money, and you'll be fine. But fees are never going to go down, and it's not developers. Some developers, yeah, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's a free market. You don't have to buy anything you don't want to buy. I'm telling you from the inside, as a developer, these are the items that could really make a huge difference. Have more people have their GC license anywhere in the state, anywhere in the United States that's approved, and that state could charge for it. So they could charge the exact same of that person taking the test, because the test is hard. It's 17 books for the state of Florida. And even though it's open book, it's hard as hell to still find it. It's 17 books. And they're thick. They're huge. They're huge books. They're not small, right? This is like you getting your master's degree and doctorates, right? You got to do a freaking thesis here. It's no joke, even though it's a lot. It's not a little bit. It's not a little bit. So I think, one, having that as a universal licensing program, starting with GCs, electricians, plumbers, and everybody else, the federal government could do a federal license. That's what I would do. To me, I was like, if you have the federal license, meaning you already got approved, and this licensing actually, you got approved in Florida, that means you can apply for the federal licensing, get a federal test or a class for 20 hours. You pass the test, you got a federal license. That's it, done. That right there is the starting point to at least start bringing down the cost of construction, because more people are doing it. That's the first thing. Second thing is looking at the municipalities. They are beyond unaccountable when it comes down to fees. Now you could say, well, Franklin, you can go inside and have conversations with the city commissioners and county commissioners. The only thing is, it's like, If you don't build, if you're not a developer, you're just like, oh, well, he's rich. Why is he? It's not like that. It's not even like, first of all, development is a ton of risks. I know what it feels like to sleep at my friend's house in the garage because I put all of it on a development. And I'm like, I still believe in what I'm up to. Even now I'm at the office. We're doing 108 unit. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. And it's Sunday. So for me, it's like, I just know that the future doesn't look bright for our kids. That's it. I got a 23-year-old and 17-year-old, 2 boys, right? And I don't know how it's going to work out for them other than them living in an RV, for real. Like when you do the math, you're just like, how is this going to work? Because taxes are only going up. I'm talking property taxes, and that's property taxes don't even go to your property. That's the other thing. So these are little things that as a developer, you can start having solutions in your local municipality. You can make a difference. Like for myself, you can just bring it up to your city, county commissioners, see some progress, work with the county, work with the city. I'm working with the city of Lakeland. I love Lakeland. It's amazing here. And then hopefully we could work some things out and so they can understand. Like I just graduated the Civilian Police Academy here in the city of Lakeland because I wanted to understand what was going on behind the scenes. And then you start understanding like, man, these people don't even talk to each other. Like you got one department, don't talk to another one. And they'll look at the budget and like, hey, we need to raise our impact fee on here $1,000 this year. Everybody's like, all right, but nobody actually knows why. Why can't you get more efficient? Like in a business, that doesn't happen. So in a business, what happens is there's competition, right? So you would say, okay, well, I'm buying this property for $200,000. Now you could say, okay, that's great. Now there's other $200,000 homes that I could choose from, and I don't like that property. I want to pick something else. When you're in your city and your county, what are you going to do? Just get up and move with your kids? No, man, come on. And then you got the same issue going on to the other side. So one, I think it definitely can be more efficient. I'll have another video on that. But what do you guys think? Let me know what your thoughts on a universal federal program specifically for GC's electricity. If you have to pull a permit and you are a worker man, that's how I look at it. If you are a worker man with a license in your state, you should be able to have a federal license for your trade in all 50 states, just like you were doing, just like you were driving. That should not change. To me, that would be the easiest first step in opening the doors. We could even, because I know Trump's in office, he likes putting his name on stuff, which is cool. Hey, do you, man? You could even call it the Trump Gold Workman. I don't know, whatever, right? At the end of the day, at least there's something moving. So let me know your thoughts. I love your take on this. All right, bye.